Well, hello there,
all
crewmates,
and
aka shippers.
You want to do the intro?
Hi.
That's fine, Click.
Wow, okay.
That's
okay,
fine.
Sure.
Let's just both
I
do
have
the intro at the
always
same
done the
time.
intro.
Hello,
Did you
everyone,
forget? So old.
Yeah, that's fun. I think you have done most of the intros. Or all of them now?
I have.
I don't know.
Yeah. I think
But
so.
hi,
do you wanna
welcome
do it?
back.
Do you want to
It's
do
great
it?
to have you back on the podcast,
Oh my
Click.
God! What topic is doing the intro? Oh!
Hello,
It's a
everyone,
new
aka
year.
crewmates, aka shippers.
Hashtag new year. Hashtag new me.
Oh my
hashtag
goodness, right?
New
Yeah,
podcast.
New Year. It's January 2021. It
Oh
has
my
been
God.
a journey. Oh my goodness. I can't believe
I'm so old.
we survived everything that happened last year that brought us all the way to this moment. And everyone that's listening to this podcast as well, you survived everything, and I'm proud of you. So I'm going to have like a tiny little... That's me clapping for you, because my goodness.
Okay.
We
I
got
thought
through
you
all of it
patted your own
together.
back or something.
What's that?
Okay. I thought you patted your own back.
Oh, you're mean early in the
This
morning.
one is for me.
Click. Yeah, so hey, Click, you want to catch us up? What have you been up to?
Oh, we've been up to a lot of stuff. I think 2020 was one of the most eventful years. It was one of the most difficult years in a lot of ways. I mean, COVID struck us, all kinds of disasters, and just living around that. For me, that was a big change, not being able to go outside to the same extent, just not being able to meet people. But at the same time, it was also very good in many ways. We both went YouTube full time. We have started streaming. We have opened countless side projects, and we've had to, move away from several of them because, my God, I think we're both too eager to jump on things and then realize, oh my, I have like 25 work hours in a 24-hour day now.
Maybe we could spend more time talking about each of those points in detail. Those of you in the audience who don't know, I wrote down like a bullet point list, and Click's just blown through like 5 of the bullet points.
Oh, so the podcast is done now. Well, that was
No.
So I hope you'll enjoy.
It's not done. It's not done. It's not done.
All right.
Maybe we'll start with the first one.
So, beginning. So the story takes place in the beginning of the ancient year of 2020.
Indeed.
Channel brought back to life. Yes, we had a rocky start. My channel got deleted about a week after I had handed in my papers to my office and decided to go full time. That was exciting. That was a bit of a twister. We really tested the old nerves.
You gave the longest notice I've ever heard of. It was like a month and a half or something, right?
2 months. Yes.
2 months? No, oh my God. So that was like
2 months.
December.
I think.
Oh.
Yeah, I think I resigned in the middle of December, and I walked. I even gave them an extra week, I think. So it was actually 2 months and a week.
Oh my God.
And so I handed in my notice middle of December, and I walked in the middle of February or something like that. So it was a long time. I must say, though, I do understand why you have such long periods in certain companies, but my God, it's painful because you're essentially sitting for months at a place you literally have no future in.
Yes.
I remember one of the biggest arguments I had with my stand-in boss at the time. It's like, you're not as ambitious as the other kids, kind of, that kind of talk. And I'm like, I'm not going to be here in 3 weeks like the other kids.
I noticed your numbers, your targets have been slipping. Why don't you try to, up it a little bit? Maybe we'll write you a good recommendation at the end of this. Yeah, I went through that too. January decided to leave. Well, I mean, I decided to leave quite a while before that point, but January was when I handed in my notice, gave them 3.5 weeks, I think, something like that. Because I had a bunch of projects and teams to hand off and had to train a number of people to be able to take over. Once all that was done, it was very easy to walk away because I was very mentally done. And I've talked about it a little bit in the past, but like I found sneaky ways to balance things at the same time. Like sometimes I do editing on my lunch while at the office. Sometimes I come back to the office, take advantage of their Wi-Fi to do uploads and stuff. Like it was nice to... It was nice in one way to have a location that was so close to a gym. Because I was able to balance the like work personal life aspect pretty well, but ultimately being away from that place altogether has been very rewarding for my mental and physical health. But I do miss the gym, dude. That's probably the biggest takeaway from 2020 is I just miss the gym.
I miss having some kind of just regular things, the gym being one of them, things that brings you out of the house.
Yes.
Because that's the thing right now I feel is the most bothersome. I can technically go outside. I can go for a walk. I can take the bike for a spin. Maybe not now because it's snowy, but usually. but I have nowhere to go. That's the thing. It's like, okay, I can go for a walk and I can waddle around the neighborhood for an hour, like, sure, but there are no events to go to. I don't have an office to go to. No gyms are open. It's like, it's very dead.
There's no trivia pub night. There's no movies that are opening night that you can get excited about. There's no house parties. There's no dancing events. There's no clubs. There's anything on the list of activities that I would have for social activities. All of them are gone. Like, I couldn't even do any of the Tough Mudder stuff I was going to be really excited about running this past year, 2020. I signed up for a few events and then they were all canceled because it was like, oh yeah, people can't be close to people. So maybe we shouldn't gather a few thousand people to run a physical course together. It's like, dang it.
Might be a good idea in the end, but it's a bummer how many things fell through. I mean, for us, we were lucky in one sense because the things we do on YouTube, for example, and the streaming aren't all that affected by it. We both work from home. We all do that kind of stuff. The market itself is not that affected. Advertisers are a bit
different
more
degrees. Like when lockdown started, everything was valued less, so advertisements were valued less. But also, a number of our videos were hit for demonetization. Just bringing up the word COVID or Corona or pandemic
that was
or
such
virus.
a pain in the ass.
Everything. Even my old videos
had
vaccines. All of those got a hit too. I was like, why?
I literally had an insane parents video that was doing so well. It was a stellar video. It was like performing. It was on its way to like 1 million views. It was doing so good. And then all of a sudden, because one of the memes I had in the video is like I was making fun of a home knitted face mask. Like, that's not gonna help anyone. And then the video got like age restricted and flagged and shadow banned for like,
I remember.
Yeah. So they were like, oh, this can spread false information. Like, I'm literally criticizing this. But because I'm not a verified COVID channel, I couldn't even mention it without getting
they had
demonetized.
some news channels that got verified months before everyone else. So then we started calling it like dust in the air and stuff.
Yeah, we used the code words.
All that lockdown stuff forced us to shift our socialization to online. And we started putting in way more time on streaming. Like, that's around when you started streaming. I'd been streaming since the previous year, but I didn't really talk about it. I only kept it as like a really small, quiet thing. So we started streaming together, playing games. You started going off the rails with your zombie stuff. And then started playing a lot more with other people because it was fun. It was the way that we could actually have like those at-home game nights that we couldn't have anymore. Suddenly we could have them online. We could hang out with people. It was so nice to be able to talk to some like new, fresh faces,
And the live interaction makes it so dynamic. That's what I love about streaming, right? I've even started streaming a little bit on YouTube now because I love captivating that essence with the audience that is live. It's so rewarding. It's so different. I love it.
It's so weird how time passes with that. I've had a 6-hour stream before that only felt like maybe 2 maximum. And then I look at the end, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, no, I've been here for ages, and I'll shut down the stream. And immediately all of my energy is gone. I'm like, I am going to bed. I am tired.
Yes. The after stream drop is insane. I had that a few weeks back. I was playing hardcore Minecraft, and my mods were like, are you okay? Because I realized I've been streaming for 5 hours.
Oh, that's long for you.
Yeah, and it was super nice. It was just a good vibe. And then I turned it off, and I realized, oh my God, I'm dead.
Oh gosh, especially with your time zones and stuff. When you start, if you go for 4 hours or 5 hours, you're way late in the evening for you.
Yeah, that's like midnight or something for me in that case. And, working, because that's essentially working. It's really fun, but it's essentially working. You're in high energy mode.
There's just so many things to mentally balance at the same time. Because, of course, there's the gameplay aspect. And then there's like the, haha, put on your be funny voice. But there's also reading up with chat and balancing multiple conversations at the same time. Not only your own conversation that you're actively having with the game and the audience, but also when you're responding to specific comments, you're keeping in mind in case there's a follow-up. You've got maybe like 3 or 4 that you're juggling at a time. Just being like, oh, they mentioned a thing, you ask for clarification, you move on, they put in the clarification, you catch up on that. It's taxing mentally. It completely drains you.
It's super taxing. It's and I don't think that's too visible from the audience perspective, which is also nice. I mean, they're there to vibe.
Yeah, they don't want to see us get tired.
No, exactly. And but it's something in content creation overall that I think you only see the iceberg. I didn't realize that until I really went full time with it myself. That like, holy crap, there's so much behind the scenes and there's so much that goes into it. For even content that is viewed, for example, the more meme style content I do on YouTube, it's viewed pretty in the YouTube tier list, if that makes sense. If you compare to all the all the complex music projects people make, or
Sure.
the complex like mini movies or animations or anything. It's pretty low on the tier list on like entry level for content. It's quote unquote simple. But the amount of hours that goes into even a simple video is staggering. If I make a video, luckily nowadays I have an editor that helps me out a bit. Helps me out a lot actually. But I remember if I make a video solo, one video is roughly 2 work days. Because you need to gather all the materials, you need to set up the recording, you need to get ready, then you need to record, then process all the files.
We've seen your mustache. How much getting ready do you really do?
Hey, have you seen my recent video with the twirls? That took
Yes, I
forever
did.
to get
I
it to
did.
look nice.
I commented on
yeah.
it. You hearted my comment. You know I've seen it.
Yeah, I did. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
but the audience doesn't know
takes,
that I've seen it yet,
sometimes
so-
the mustache is very, very
It's an integral
wild.
part of the video, yeah.
It needs to be tamed. So... No, it takes a while, and then of course the editing is the biggest chunk of time. That takes
Takes
hours
ages.
and hours, and then it's the whole render process, uploading it, fixing titles. Maybe YouTube is wonky with the monetizations. Need to fix reviews, make thumbnails, all the links, all the titles, all the descriptions, hashtags.
It's
You
kind
name
of
it. It's-
amazing. We went full time, and then we decided, like, even though knowing how, like, getting a good idea when we were starting off at the beginning of the year, how much time it took to do every individual thing, we still decided, yeah, let's start a bunch of side stuff. Let's do more. Let's do more all the time.
Yeah, I think even nowadays when I'm looking at like, okay, here's my main channel, here's my other projects page. It's like, click ASMR, click music, click live, click Twitch,
Yeah.
ship podcasts. And I'm like, okay, how much of this stuff is active? Like 1.5, maybe.
Yeah. I have to really limit myself this year. I don't know if I really set aside resolutions for myself. I try to do resolutions pretty on the regular, not necessarily at the end of the year, but there's always things I want to change and improve about myself. And this year, one of my big goals is to not take on as much and to allow more time for myself. It got to the point where around the summer of last year, like I was already pretty busy because I was working 2 jobs at a time before doing this full time, and the gym, and still trying to have a social life and all that. I would often fall asleep editing and wake up still editing, and then polish it off, upload it, and it'd be ready an hour later on YouTube. But I was still doing that even after going full time. I got rid of the other job, so I filled in all of that quote unquote extra time with just more projects. So then it became, I'd say I'd wake up pretty early in the morning, well, relatively 8 a.m. or so, and then I'd be working until sometime around 2 a.m. And that's the entire day filled with work time. There was no time set aside for socialization, no time set aside for gym, because it was all at home because we're all in lockdown. So I'm like, well, I might as well use this time. So I got very much in this trap of committing myself to way too much all at the same time and not being able to step away from that. So it took ages to be able to step away from anything. But my goodness, I've had a few nights of full sleep. Like even at the end of last year, at the beginning of this year, it's made an amazing difference.
It's hard to pace yourself because we don't have anyone else inviting us to meetings. We don't have anyone else setting our schedule, so to say. It's very much, the entrepreneurial lifestyle #inspiration. But it really is different. Yeah, synergy, moving forward, breaking out of the 9 to 5.
What is your North Star? Are we running,
sh-
crawling, or flying?
God, it's so good that we don't have to do that anymore. It's so fake. I think every industry has its own quirks, and one quirk I really bugged myself on with the corporate industry was like everything is so polished and fake. Oh, I can't stand it. It's like, hi, welcome to this 1-hour workshop. We're going to talk about synergy and innovation and machine learning. And everything is just a couple of fancy graphs that don't mean anything. You're like, yeah, we're going to move forward, not backwards. Duh.
Look at this graph.
Look at this graph.
I don't miss wearing a suit, and I don't miss the meetings that were just meant to bring all departments together to chat. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I need this time on everything else I'm doing right now, fam.
But yeah, so that's the difficult thing about pacing yourself with this job. I think we have had countless discussions over the past year, kind of how we miss the 9 to 5 to some extent. Just that
Sometimes just
sharp
the hours
cutoff.
and being able to step away afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think also the physical distance. It's like at 5, you come home from the office and you're actually home, and you mentally know that your house is you're free from work, so to say.
Yeah, your safe space. You can have fun now.
Exactly. That's not. I mean, even now, I spend a lot of time. For example, I like playing video games.
Yes.
I find it harder and harder to relax because I sit by the same computer as I do my job, and then I'm sitting and gaming something, and I get pinged by my, for example, Discord staff, and they want to rope me in on something we need to solve, or
Yes.
I get pinged by someone else, like maybe you or Salty or someone else we're
Yeah, we're
streaming
always
with, and they're like,
pinging you.
"Hey, you wanna?" Yeah, exactly. "Hey, you wanna make a
wanna
video or
stream?
something?
You
Like,
wanna
you wanna
record?"
stream with us in half an hour?" Or then you have like just random people reaching out to you about stuff. You have emails from
Yep.
brands or companies or other creators or whatever it might be. It's just
I don't have any emails from brands.
I haven't had any in a little bit now, to be honest.
No.
January is typically pretty slow.
I had
Everyone
some funny ones
rushes.
near the end of last year, but I haven't had any
Oh my
like real
God.
ones. Just very silly ones like,
Oh,
"Hello,
the scammy ones.
YouTube representative. Would you like to work with our corporate office representative?" And it's like, "What are you offering? And what do you want from me? Who are you?"
Yeah, the emails that can't specify what they're actually selling.
Yes.
Oh, it's like, "Dear /ma'am, would you like to partner with us for great synergy? Join today for some awesome benefits that only the top tier are able to indulge in." It's like, okay, but what
I'm
is
like,
it?
"Do you want me to sell
If
you a
sign
fit tea
up
or
to-
not?"
I had one sponsor that like reached out to me with an email, and to even like see their offer, what they were willing to offer for the agreement, I had to sign up on their garbage website. I was like, I'm not
no.
signing up. If I'm not even worth the time that you can spill out the number of your offer, and I have to sign up to your garbage web, you're not worth my time. Shut
I try to reply to as many as I can because sometimes people don't have everyone behind the emails is a person, and they don't always have time to convey everything that they need
Oh,
to,
yeah, of
because they have a
course.
certain
And they-
like target they have to email every single day. I respect that, I understand that, but if in their response back, like if I do get a response back, if their response back is just like, "Yes, referencing my first email," and then no additional information, I'm like, okay, you don't love me for me is what I'm getting out of this.
Yeah, I'm just one name in a giant Excel sheet, essentially.
Yes.
And yeah.
I just want
And I mean,
you
I don't
to care about me just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I expect to be just a name in an Excel sheet to some extent. I mean, I don't expect a person to become my best friend that I work with at the brand, but it's like make it a bit less obvious.
Make it fun, at least.
It's the same thing as when you apply for a job. You send with a personal letter with a company name in it to make it like, hey, I actually care about this position. You don't talk about the 20 other jobs you're applying for. It's the same
Exactly.
thing. You make the person you're sitting with right now feel a bit special. If it works out, then maybe you don't have to go to the other ones. But no, it's funny. It's funny. I think sometimes we are like in that middle tier of channel sizes where we are. We're big enough to be interesting for brands, but we're not so big that they're gonna send like a personal.
It's not so big that they care yet.
No, exactly. It's just like,
Yeah.
okay, we're big enough to make it to an Excel sheet, but they're not so big enough that they care about us specifically. It's not like they have a specific person reaching out like, hey, how are you doing today? Want to do this or this with us? Like,
Last
no,
year,
it's
there
like,
was definitely
hey.
a change. I mean, you went from not having a channel to exploding. I mean, you're at, did you hit 500,000 before December?
I think during December.
Are you snacking?
I don't remember.
Are you eating
Yeah,
right
maybe.
now? In our
I'm eating my-
podcast. We're
I'm eating-
we're live.
I'm eating a bulle.
Are you for real? Okay, all right, I'll just talk. So, Click, you arrived at
it's a
something like
bullet.
500,000 subscribers at December.
Check out my ASMR channel.
And I think,
yes.
oh,
yes, indeed.
silence. Cross-promoting
No.
in our podcast.
Silence thought.
Oh, no. Is that me?
We're both thoughts. But anyway, so
Oh.
yeah. What were we talking about?
Hang on, I
before
forget what the
started
acronym
snacking?
is. I'm actually going to look that up. Oh, yeah, I was talking about like how we started off as relatively, like comparatively small channels back then, and by the end of the year, we're suddenly like we've doubled our subscriber numbers. The people that watch our channels has exploded.
Yes.
We went from relatively small channels before we went full time to suddenly this being able to sustain us. Like when I started, I was making like just enough to cover rent, and sometimes not that. And then several months in, by like the middle or end of summer, suddenly I was able to afford more than just rent. So I didn't have to keep spending out of my savings to make it go. And then by the end of the year, it's like I could do this. This could, I mean, January not so much, but but by the end of the year, I'm like, this is sustainable. I can afford shoes. Shoo.
I remember it was such a such a shock when I went full time. I remember it was between October and November last year I started considering it, because that's when the channel had its first bump. So I remember that shock, and it felt so weird. You know that freaking meme where it's like one guy standing in a corner at the party and like, they don't know I'm mildly popular on Twitter. You know that one?
Right.
That's what I felt like at the office. Like, I felt like such a dick for thinking that, but it was so true.
But there's
so
so much
kind of
more risk on the YouTube side. Like,
Oh my God, yes.
You could put in 20 hours in something that doesn't do well. But if you put in 20 hours at the office job, then you'd know how much you're going to be making, so you're going to be able to afford groceries and whatnot.
Oh, it's always risk versus reward.
Putting all that time in your personal, well, essentially all that personal time just suddenly becomes work time. It's available work office time, and you have to spend it all, or else you're potentially like missing that opportunity to make that money, because while you were making less at the office, they still had like healthcare and other insurances available for you. And then going to full time, you got to like earn extra to cover all of those insurances and whatnot. And then
exactly.
on top of that, you're like,
they said,
go ahead.
I think because I was researching that, and I think the common number that they give you is like if your channel makes, let's say you're the only employee, you don't have expenses for editors or people working for you or anything like that. If it's only you making videos solo, you should make about 1.5 times is what you make at a normal job to justify going YouTube full time, because that 50% that is the difference will go away in insurance plans that you won't have anymore. It's employer tax, all that kind of jazz. So that's partially why I typically don't disclose what the channel makes, because people take that out of context, very grossly out of context.
It can spike up and it can spike down massively.
January, for example, I'm making like a third of what I did in December. It's such a massive difference.
Same number of people checking out stuff, but YouTube's like, no, we're negotiating all of our advertising contracts, so it's just worth less. But they'll do that like once a quarter, and we'll have like massive dips down every quarter. So then you kind of have to average it out, which means you have to spend so much more time managing so many things behind the scenes, which means in addition to the video work, you have to spend all that time that you would on like socializing, on your personal relationships, on YouTube.
Yes.
So there's no real like stepping away. And that took its toll on me with Human One. At the beginning of the pandemic, we decided, let's just move in together. Like, we're spending all our time together anyways, let's just do this. And that way, when they do full lockdown and we can't visit each other's houses, at least we'll still be able to see each other. I was lucky in that sense. So at least I was able to maintain my relationship by just having her face to face all the time. But for anyone who doesn't have their partner like at home with them, that can cause all sorts of stress where you're pulling time away from your work to be able to go spend it with them. And in this case, I might not have even had that option if I wanted this to keep going.
Yeah. No, it is a difficult balance. It really is. And I think the risk aspect with YouTube is something that, and that goes for any kind of business where you run your own thing. It's not only YouTube. That's the other side of the coin when you do your own business, when you are your own boss. #boss babe, working from home. Ooh. But
sign up 3 of your friends.
the hurt.
Can you imagine if YouTube started out like a pyramid scheme where it's like,
Jesus
okay, if
Christ.
you sign up yourself on a channel, but then you sign up 3 other channels, you'll get a cut of their commissions, and then
you will get a bit of their CPM. Oh my God. Oh. Jesus Christ. But no, the risk aspect is very real, because I could not tell you what I was gonna earn next month, for example. I could give you a rough estimate, like, okay, the channel is on this kind of trajectory. Maybe I will upload this many videos. February usually performs like this in terms of advertisement. Like, I can give you a rough estimate, but there's no way of knowing. The channel might take off and like, $1 bajillion. The channel might die completely. Maybe something gets demonetized. YouTube rolls out new guidelines that makes it harder to make money with ads. Like, it can be. The instability is very prominent. And that's also the online world. Everything moves so incredibly quickly. So I think one thing that makes me feel more comfortable now than when I first went full-time is that I feel that we kind of withstood the test of time, at least the first test. We weren't just, you got a couple of videos and you were relevant for 2 months and now you're dead. we're actually
I don't feel relevant, but I follow you. I follow you.
No,
Please
like-
keep going.
yeah, not relevant in the hip factor. I mean, we're not relevant, and I would never want to be, but it's relevant in our communities, relevant in the fact that people actually watch our content, and it's been like that now for a little more than a year, and that makes me feel a bit more confident that hey, maybe there is a future in doing this kind of stuff.
Well, the lack of confidence, to build on what you're saying there, is probably why we spent so much time trying to diversify our time on many different projects, because you don't know which one is going to be the thing that people are still going to be entertained by in the future. And you want to be as entertaining as possible so people will want to come back. And for me personally, like I love everything that I do, but I put so much emotion into everything that I'm completely done. So when we took on, our main channels, we did so many collabs together, we did so many streams together, we did the podcast together, everything just started stacking. And this year, seeing how everything went along last year, it's easier to be able to see where we can take steps back from, like where we can spend more time on or less time on. But last year, we didn't have that flexibility. We didn't know which would be the thing that would be safer. Because all of a sudden we don't have those office jobs and we don't have that salary, that retirement plan to lean back on. It's all up in the air. It's guessing.
Yes.
And it got to the point where, we put so much time in everything that we had to put some stuff on hold. Like we even put the podcast on hold. Hello, everyone. First episode back, by the way.
Yeah, I think I put everything apart from the from the main channel on hold, back and forth, at least in periods. And you can see that very clearly across my second projects I've had across the year, that the activity has varied a lot. Some of them dropped off completely. I think the music channel went 3 months without an upload. The ASMR channel went 6 months without an upload at one point. So that's kind of how it goes. You jump on a project, you're super invested, and it's like, oh, damn, I don't really have time for this. So right after that initial very short honeymoon phase of you just spending a weekend getting a couple of videos out. It's like, oh, I don't have time for this. Well, it's gone.
I wish I could spend all the time I have on only the things that, I don't know how to phrase this. I wish I could have fun all the time, I guess. Like there's aspects of this that I have just all of the fun in the world on. And then there's editing. Like I love recording. I love finding the memes. I love being able to interact with everyone and respond to all the comments that I can. I love streaming, but then editing is the main thing. It's the core aspect of everything. And it takes the longest, and it's so repetitive, and it kind of limits how much you're able to work on.
It's the most tedious, and there's no smart way of making it faster. If you want a certain quality in the edit, it's going to take X amount of hours. You might be able to shorten it by 20% by being really efficient or knowing your hotkeys, but it's always going to take, if I edit my own videos, the ones I do myself, even if I'm super efficient, it still takes me at least 5 or 6 hours to edit a full video.
It's about 6 to 10 for me. It depends.
Yeah.
And a lot of that's just me going back and reviewing multiple times just to make sure the audio sounds good, just to make sure it flows well.
Yeah.
So we don't want to put in anything that just sounds bad.
Yeah, exactly. No, and it's and also there's a lot of other stuff that goes into it too. For example, I recently moved my home office, and just that took like 2 days where I couldn't work. Yeah. It was like setting up a whole new mic booth, setting up a new desk, plugging all my screens, cleaning up the place, moving out the furniture that was in the room I moved into, back and forth. It took like 2 days. Like that was 2 work days just moving a small home office. And then you have all the other stuff, of course, behind the scenes that takes time, like all the social media, managing Discord servers, preparing for streams. God,
thumbnails.
I've spent some time. Yeah, thumbnails can take. Like if I have a good idea for a thumbnail, it can take 10 minutes. If I am blocked, it can take 2 hours.
10 minutes.
It's like
Yeah, 2 to 4 hours is probably the average for a thumbnail for me if I'm working on it myself. Human One can usually finish a thumbnail in 1 to 2 hours. She's very fast. But if I'm working on it, it could be up to 4. And that's only if I'm like working on one thumbnail. If I'm working on a few different ones, because I don't always know which will be the best one to represent the content, it could be even more. I could spend an entire day just on thumbnails for one video.
Yes. Oh God. But it's fun. But there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that you realize when you first take on a project, because it's easy to say, oh, podcast, we're just going to make 2 episodes a week, and oh, it's just 2 episodes an hour each. Like, yeah, that's 2 hours of work. No biggie. And then you realize,
we did some estimations where it should have gone well, and if everything did run smoothly, I think it would have been fine. But it's the non-accounting for extra time to allow for failure that I think kind of nipped us in the butt a little bit.
Yeah, the errors, repairing the errors when you encounter problems. I had, for example, when I first rendered the first episodes, when it was so inefficient with the software I was using, took like 10 hours to render, so I did overnight. And then the next day it was like, oh, the audio desynced because the rendering lagged out. Like, oh, fun. Okay, let's do this again. Just like just that alone was like a 3-day process just to get an episode done.
And that means your machine is like dedicated to just exporting for that amount of time. So it's stuck. You can't like do any other work while that's happening.
No, I couldn't play video games and stream. I couldn't really render any other videos, or if I did, it very, very slowly.
Yes.
So it kind of puts everything else on hold, and that's the kind of stuff you don't account for. It's easy to say, oh, 2 episodes a week, 2 hours, awesome. But in reality, it's probably more like maybe 15 hours of work, or maybe even 20, depending on how many side things you have. And that was one thing with the podcast. I think we had a very good idea about it, but it just ended up being too many side things. For example, on the podcast, we had the Patreon, the extra Discord, and it just, on top of the things we already had connected to our main channels, just became more things to manage. And my God, like at the peak of it, I think, our main channels, our main Discord servers, all the side communities, our social medias, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, 5 different secondary channels, all projects, collabs we do back and forth, different events. It's like, there's 20 things to juggle, and that's only the YouTube thing. Then you don't count buying groceries, taking care of your health, having a social life, sleeping. It's like, it was just, holy shit, goodness. How do I do this? It's just a swarm. God.
At some point, it becomes impossible to balance, and we're always walking the line of what is possible and what is not possible. And we'll do that for weeks at a time. Like, it's not like one day we're busy and the next day we're caught up. It's, we're busy for a few weeks because everything's been stacked and takes that long to clean up. You might have one day to breathe, and then it's weeks of busy again. And we had a lot of hard conversations about what we could spend time on and where we had to start cutting time back. And sometimes when you have those decisions...
It was the realistic wake-up, I think. For example, when we had to talk about putting the podcast on hold, it's the fact that we're both super invested. We love what we do, but it's the harsh reality of like, we have to put this baby down. There's no way we can keep this up.
Maybe not with that phrasing, but
no, but it's like really sad.
Even before the final decision to just put it on hold for now, we had a few ones where we started slowing things down and started shifting the way that we were creating the content to give ourselves more time. Yeah. And those, as soon as we made the decisions, like the implementation of that to say, okay, we need to stop doing these things. It was, all right, that night we had the conversation, the morning the announcement goes up. Like there was no okay, in a week we'll make this change. There's no slow rollout because there's not that time for it. Everything
we can't.
Is so different once you're constantly on your toes, running a marathon at a sprint speed all the time.
No, I think the last month or two, I've started pacing myself better. I've started not caring as much about my side projects, for example, the secondary channels. They're the kind of thing where when I have an idea that's cool, I upload it, but I don't try to be consistent because I know I can't. There's no point in trying, at least not at this point. And for the main channel, I have an editor, so I offload some of those hours. I have hired someone to help me with bookkeeping, so I no longer sit with that myself.
Yeah, during a pandemic, you're employing people, which is kind of phenomenal.
It's really cool. I like it. And it also helps me, so it's a win-win. But, so in that sense, right now, my schedule is manageable. I still have too many things I feel under my own umbrella. It would be so nice to have some kind of, I don't want to call it a manager, really, but someone that helps you with the business side, someone that can just, debate the emails and the things with the brands, or tackle YouTube when there's an issue.
Some sort of manager of business, but not a business manager.
Yeah, okay, I guess it's a bit manager of business. It's not a business. Yeah, good stuff. But just someone else that works on the channel on a similar hierarchy level as you do. Because the thing now that I've noticed is that every issue that isn't instantly resolved always reaches me. I mean, even when there's issues on like the small Minecraft server we have on the Discord, like that reaches me. Like, hey, we need to fix this. Like, oh, okay, this is real. Like, I love the server. this is really not on the top of my priority list today. Like, oh, I can't.
Yeah.
So
you might not have time for it for another week or so. And that doesn't
exactly.
help anyone. So then you're stressing about that. Even knowing that there's a problem and not being able to do anything about it is another stressor on you that can
It's
detract
just one
from
more
other things.
dot on the checklist. And the harsh truth about all that stuff is that a lot of the projects we do on here are for fun. For
Yes.
example, if we were only interested in paying our bills, we would probably only focus on the main channels, maybe Twitch, and that's about it. If, like, for example, Discord, Minecraft servers, all that kind of stuff is not really justifiable from a job perspective. It's just fun.
No.
It's a nice
those
community
are just a great
build.
way to connect with people. Those don't make any
Exactly.
money.
No, exactly. They cost money.
They're
So-
operating at a loss, I think is the business way of putting it.
Yes, definitely, for sure. But it's also very enjoyable, so it's worth
Yes.
it. Like, it's something I value very high, and but still, that means also that it can't be on the top of the line, because this is not the thing that actually pays my bills. This is not the thing that pays the salary to my editor. It's not the thing that pays for my pension. So I can't give this the top priority. It really is that simple. So when you're in this kind of position,
to separate your emotions from all of the different side projects, to be able to step away from some things, though, like
yes,
to recognize, as much as I love spending time here or here, it's not something I can do all the time. It's not something I can do long term. And if it needs more time than you're able to put in, then you have to step away.
yeah, you have to find someone else to help you, or you have to drop it. It really is that simple. Or reschedule it somehow, make it less
Somehow,
demanding.
if that works. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that was something I think we both learned kind of the hard way during 2020, opening way too many projects and not having nearly enough time for all of them.
The
And
funny
I
thing
think,
is just relearning the same lessons that you already know, because we've both learned those lessons of not taking on too much in our professional lives. But then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
these are I don't know, quote unquote businesses that we own. I guess is one way to look at our YouTube channels.
I think part of the reason
And
that
then
made
it's
it
our stuff
difficult
all of a
and
sudden.
that we had to relearn is that it was a hobby and a passion that turned into
Yes.
a job. So,
Yeah.
for example, a lot of the time when I'm sitting and like, oh, I'm just vibing with my staff in Discord, or I'm just vibing with you, or we're discussing some fun video idea, I don't think about it, but that's technically a job meeting. Like, those
Yes.
are work hours. And it's weird because it's a hobby and it's friends,
Yes.
but it's still within the realm of what I do for a living. So I think that's what makes it hard to pace, because you're not exactly sure. For example, your second channel, would you say that's a hobby or a job? It's like
My
it's really
second
hard to
channel is
define.
very much just like the fun space.
Yeah.
I love it, and I'd love to put in more time on there, but it's to the point where like I can't. I had so
Yeah.
many ideas, and then all of a sudden I can't. I don't even have a computer right now. Have I mentioned that?
Yeah, there you go.
Everyone, I don't have
Yes.
a computer.
Ugh.
I don't have anything to edit and record on right now. I have a laptop. It's kind of slow. I can only record audio on there. I don't know what to do.
He's recording on his Android fridge right now.
I'm pretty like the Android urinal.
Oh God. But yeah, life lessons. But I think we're starting to get the hang of it, and I think it's also after a year you can kind of realize what is sustainable and what is not. I suppose it's you
Yeah,
learn
as
to
hard
prioritize.
as a lesson as that can be sometimes. 'Cause
Oh God, I
especially
hate
when
it.
things are the fun thing.
Yes.
It's hard to step away from the fun thing.
Yes. No, it's super difficult. It's super difficult. And like the projects we start on here, they all start as a hobby. That's the thing. So when we choose to put them on hold, that's us putting a passion project on hold. It's not like, oh, we have to scrap this specific soulless part of a business model. It's like, no, it's a creative passion project that we spent the hours in to build it up. And then all of a sudden, oh, I don't have time for this. Well, okay, goodbye. That sucks.
I had a
So
whole
it's-
gaming channel that I actually nuked in 2020.
Oh, yeah, I remember
so many
that.
different recordings of us playing games together on Twitch. Sometimes you're not on Twitch, because I think that was before you started streaming that I started uploading on there.
Oh, yeah,
I'd
we were
actually spent
playing
some time editing.
Don't Starve. I remember that.
Yeah, we did Don't Starve. We did 7 Days to Die. We did Dying Light. There were a number of things that we played, and then I
Yes.
uploaded on there. And then ultimately I had to be like, I can't balance this and all of the other projects. So I had to just leave it. It's gone now.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's super hard. And,
So hard. Tons of fun was had on there.
Yes. But it's also a good lesson to learn, because that goes for anyone in life, I think. You cannot do everything. You need to prioritize, you need to pick and choose. And that can be both it can be both a sad thing that you need to say no to things you would like to do, but it can also be a privilege that you can leave only the cream at the top. But in realism, it's not going to be like that, because every project has its downsides, and even with a dream job like YouTube, you still spend countless of hours doing, regular office work stuff. We sit by a computer, but instead of an Excel sheet, it's an editing software, for example.
Taxes last year were really annoying. That was the most annoying office part of what I had to do, I think. In addition to sorting papers and all that, was just sorting through receipts. And I hadn't even made very much money, but it was still I had to organize everything to make sure I didn't miss anything.
Oh my God, yeah. I actually run a company for the channel, so I have to have proper bookkeeping and stuff. It's
that's nice.
That must folders be really nice. Of files, and I even pay for a subscription on a bookkeeping software that calculates the stuff. That's why I had to hire someone, because I don't have time for all that.
And that's something that you'd have to do whether you were earning $20 or $200. You'd still
it's just a form of legality. If you don't do it properly, the government is going to come and say, what's this shady business? We're shutting this down.
We're going to shut down your YouTube.
Exactly.
Shut down by the Swedish government? What?
Oh my God. Wannabe PewDiePie shut down by the Swedish government? What?
Wannabe PewDiePie. Oh. YouTuber with loose affiliations to PewDiePie, and they'll go back
loose affiliations.
Back when PewDiePie commented on one of your videos, they'll go back to that and cite it out. As you can see, they had connections here.
Yes, they had connections, and now PewDiePie, and I am responsible for everything PewDiePie has ever said and done, and vice versa. Because he commented on one of my Minecraft videos 10 years ago and said, "Cool video, I like Minecraft too." And then he blew up and forgot all about me. PewDiePie, you left me.
Well, you left the internet too, so that's
true.
Enough.
Yeah, I kind of went inactive on YouTube for a few years, so yeah, it's.
Dude, there were so many things in 2020 that I was excited for that ended up not happening. We were going to meet each other.
Yes,
we were going to have closer than loose affiliations, but then all of a sudden we have to stick with our loose affiliations because we can't fly anywhere.
Yeah, it's so weird, right? Because all the people I work with on a daily basis, you, Salty, a couple of the people we stream with, and I've never met any of them in person. Not a single one.
I know.
It's so weird. We, the two of us, for example, I don't even want to know how many hours we have spent just talking on Discord about anything and everything. We almost own a podcast together. Yeah, pretty much every day. We do collabs together. We work together on pretty much a daily basis, depending on how you want to see it. We stream together. We, discuss personal topics and how to balance life, all these kind of things. And we have never actually met. It's a strange feeling. I've never been that close to people I have never met before.
Oh my God, I'm your online girlfriend.
You are my online girlfriend. Thank you for spitting it out.
No, you wouldn't know him. He's in Canada.
My e-girl.
Gosh. Yeah, we did work on a lot of stuff in addition to some of the charity stuff that we did.
Yes.
Those, God, you're eating again. Folks in the audience might not know, but we had a Patreon for the podcast, and the funds went towards, the editing fees, the fees for creating thumbnails and all that. But when we put everything on pause, we had a chat with the folks that were left, and we decided that we'd actually move those funds into a charity. And we donated to one that you'd actually worked with previously. And
American Cancer Society.
And in December, we did some streams for charity as well. We did some donations around then. Around our birthdays, we did some charity streams as well. It was nice to be able to put in some time on giving back around the end of last year. And that seemed like such a nice way to cap off the year. The year where so many things were exciting, but also just such a letdown, where things went well, but also horribly awry, to be able to say, you know what, we made a little bit of a positive difference last year. In addition to keeping people entertained when they were stuck at home, we also gave back. And that was a really good feeling.
It's really nice. It's really cool that we have reached a point where I usually say that when we talk in private. I'm so glad we're not famous. My God, I don't think I would stand it. But
I wouldn't be able to hang out with anyone anymore. There's too many people.
And you would be to constantly have to think about your public image. Man, sometimes I just want to drink beer with the boys and talk about stupid stuff that's not supposed to be taken out of context. It's
gosh, we'd have to be so careful with the podcast. They said they'd hide on islands for zombies. Well, that's obviously stupid. This is why Click and One Topic should be canceled.
This is why they are dumb and spreading misinformation about zombies.
Oh, those are fun episodes. We should do more where we talk about zombies. That was fun.
Yes. Can you believe these famous people actually believe in zombies? Like, no, it's not.
The zombie controversy with YouTubers.
Yes, I have noticed a small surge in that kind of stuff where you get that taste of that weird, overly dramatic hatred that some people have towards certain celebrities. I have noticed that happening in certain circles online towards myself, and it's usually kind of like almost comedic and disconnected. The typical tags on Twitter are a goldmine. I had one chain somewhere on some social media. It was like a bunch of people discussing whether or not I was a furry, and like, is he actually some degenerate? Like, should we report his channel for this? Like riling each other up for war.
The furry gotcha or.
Fluffy. Oh no! It had nothing to do with that. None of those. It was completely standalone. It was just something I randomly found when I was scrolling Reddit. I searched my name to go to my own subreddit, and I saw one of the posts that were like trending a while back. It wasn't a big trendy post. It was just because my name isn't searched that much.
That's so funny.
And there was like a comment chain of them discussing: is he actually a fur? Like, should we try to delete his channel? I'm like, what?
Rude. I noticed. There was a shift in how people reacted to my commenting on other YouTubers' videos. And that's probably where I've seen like the most negative attention. Well, I mean, any of the LGBT content that I do attracts a fair amount of negative people. I get a lot of emails and Instagram DMs, unfortunately. But that aside, when I comment on another YouTuber's channel, oftentimes people will respond. I noticed one in Ryan George's videos that I commented. I made a joke in context with his video. He hearted and liked it, and someone was responding by saying, "Oh, you're just going to get a lot of likes because you're a verified channel with a ton of subscribers." I'm like, no, I just want to say I like the video. Like, can we just let me be? Like,
I just want to leave a nice comment on a creator I like. Fuck.
I think probably the strongest responses back I got were on a Kit Boga video where I responded and I said, "Oh, very cool, from a fellow Silly Voices guy. I really like your work and what you do. Cheers." And then the people in the responses were like, "This self-promo is cringe. You should have learned better after 300K subscribers. This is very old style to try to get more subscribers." I'm like, fam, what? What is going on? I just want to say hi. But I guess
people are so
individual
overdramatic.
Interaction is valued differently now. Like any video that we cover, if it gets enough views, people look at it differently than when we started, when it was, just small videos. I can't believe Dying Light 2 is not out yet. It is ridiculous. I am upset. I want my Dying Light 2. I think games like Cyberpunk should have been given more development time.
You're such a fanboy when it comes to Dying Light.
I like video games. They're fun. I wish I played more of Skyrim when it came out originally.
No, you can play it now. There are so many good mods for it nowadays.
I could play it now.
Oh,
I think that'd be
so
fun.
good.
Well,
you should play. You should play it on stream. I know it's pretty popular to do like first time playing Skyrim when everyone already knows the game. Kind of. It's really funny. You should try that.
What are we looking forward to in 2021? This newest of years. More
Sleep.
podcast. More episode, more sleep. Oh my gosh, yeah. I don't know why I didn't put that first after we were talking about
you need
work-life
sleep.
balance.
You sleep like an average of 2.5 hours a day or something.
I've increased it. It's better.
To like 3.5 hours.
I've started taking naps, but it is very difficult. Like all of the videos that I do, I try to. They're the thing that I have the most fun with. So whenever I'm responding to memes or I'm reacting to something, if I'm laughing, like that's me laughing. I have a weird laugh, but even I can't fake that. I want to put positive energy into whatever I'm doing, and it can get really difficult when I haven't been sleeping a lot. So I have noticed like my content gets a lot better when I have slept more. So it's kind of a tough balance of being able to produce enough that people are still entertained by it, but also sleep enough that what you produce is fun.
You need to recharge, and it's also you need to recharge to be inspired. You need to recharge to have the energy to put on a show. And it's not something necessarily like faking a show, but I think anybody can understand that when you get up on stage or something, you put in that little extra. Because because you have something to show. And sometimes that's hard if you haven't rested enough, if you haven't given yourself enough time to recharge. And yeah, it's important to find that balance. Put in enough time to keep it afloat, but not so much time that everything just turns to garbage.
I think so. And I'm looking forward to a lot of different things, like streaming with all of our friends that we've made over the year, collaborating on YouTube with all of our friends that we made over the year. There's a ton of stuff that I think that we can look forward to in 2021 that we couldn't do in 2020. And one of those things is bringing back the podcast. Hey, look at us, everyone. We're back.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Any final thoughts?
Looking forward to 2021 and the projects that are to come. Awesome. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed this episode back in the podcast, and we hope to see you in the next episodes in the near future as well.
Bye. I don't have anything.
No, I don't have
Bye,
anything
everyone.
more.
Love you.
Bye-bye.